Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Lids, and we're back to break some more Regal chairs. So let's get going here, because today I'm thinking, just taking a look at our map here. We still have this area down here, which looks like it's, I don't know if it's technically the same town we were looking at here, or if it's some sub-village nearby. But we have this area that we've not yet gone to. We also still have this puzzle over here that we were trying previously, and I was thinking about it a little bit more, and there might have figured out what it was that we needed to do to still make that happen. So, anyways, let's check this place out first, and let's see what's going on over here, because it does look like there's something for sure. Like a...
On their way to the
I'm not sure what that was.
Meve and company happened
Somebody.
one fine day upon a lone rider. Had I been at her side, I would immediately have recognized his passionate gaze and altogether chivalrous mien.
Let's see, who is this referring to? For some reason, my first thought went to Dandelion, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious.
Identify yourself, sir, and your intent.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Eyck of Denel I am dubbed, and my design I never conceal.
Oh, okay.
The good book says the world is a garden which the gods once conferred upon man, and we men have this garden neglected. In consequence, all manner of filth has made its lair here. Drowners, ghouls, and other kobolds.
Okay. Sure.
I have sworn ne'er to rest until the day when, with the gods' help, I have rid the world of these beasts and pests. I wander all lands, seeking out evil and facing it in mortal combat.
Sounds almost Witcher-like in a way. Also, I love Meve and Reynard's expressions here. They're like, what is going on right now? It's not even just confusion. It's like, oh, look at this little child. Wants to go fight these dangerous dragons. Somebody, step them aside and give him a little talk. Make sure that, he's not going to be rushing off to his death here.
Who do we spy? A knight-errant?
Ah, okay. Well, if it's a knight-errant, then I suppose that does make some sense then. Based on, what I recall from Blood and Wine, or The Witcher 3.
Just as likely a madman.
Okay. Also, dating back to The Witcher 1, we certainly know someone who is from Denel, so wonder if they're related at all. Eyck here and Siegfried, is who I'm alluding to. But, of course, presumably that's a location and there are probably numerous people from that area, so probably doesn't necessarily mean that they're family. But let's see. So, in theory, I suppose that means they're on the hunt for some of these big beasts. Or just, get out of here. We want nothing to do with you. No, let's ask. Let's ask about it.
How goes your hunt? Caught the trail of any monster?
Oh, it was wild. The hunt was wild.
Monster? Too fair a term by far. An exceptionally vile worm has made its lair in nearby caverns. It is said to be the very distillation of filth. A slither in horror. A melange of the macabre.
Okay, if there's actually a dragon there, then yeah, that does seem like a pretty big problem.
Its head, that of a wild cat of Ophir. Its maw full of spiked teeth. The wings of a bat it is said to have. The tail of a scorpion, and from it, a thick venom drips. Learned men call this variety a Manticore, or Mardiacore.
Okay, not a dragon, but perhaps, I don't know, equally threatening, but maybe not quite, but still, sounds like a problem for sure.
Perhaps it will be most prudent, then, to send for a witcher.
Exactly.
A witcher? Soulless automatons they are, all, feeding on common folks' fears. What they demand gold to do, I perform without demand of any coin.
What? Then, how do you support yourself? You just ask for people to return the favor, and rather than give you coin, give you your housing and food?
Sir Eyck, far be it from me to discourage you. Your endeavor is noble, no doubt, but from what I have heard,
You are a
Manticores are
complete madman.
exceedingly dangerous beasts.
Say it, Raynard. Come on, do it. We know you're thinking it.
To defeat this filth alone could be a difficult task, I'll not deny. Yet try it I must, for it is what I have sworn before the gods.
So how long does this guy have? A day? A week? Surely not much more than that, right? She'll help you if you... Wait. She'll help you if you then join us. I mean... Why not? Why not? Sure, he's, clearly a little crazy, but let's bring him in.
We shall help you find and fight the Manticore, provided you then pledge to help us fight an even fiercer and filthier beast.
That being the Nilfgaardians, of course.
Of course, my lady. Yet what manner of horror is it? A viper? A griffin? A drake of some rare form?
You see, it's actually, a large sun, as it turns out.
Were it only. 'Tis a beast of 1,000 heads, covered in black armor, its fire consuming whole villages.
I mean, she's not wrong. Clever phrasing. Definitely clever phrasing.
Noble lady. I know bestiary is only in parts, yet I've seen some of the world, and never have I heard of such a terror.
You need but look
How long
about
till he
you
finds out?
and spot Nilfgaard's legions.
Ah, she bailed him out. She bailed him out. It's like, oh. Oh. We were talking about Nilfgaard? No, I'm not interested anymore.
Devastating. But you must forgive me, Your Grace. This struggle between realms is not one to which I can lay a hand.
No! We insist.
A Manticore. How great is its appetite? How many men does it fell? In a moon, let us say.
Now is Meve gonna say, hold on, you see, the Nilfgaardians take far more people in a day than the Manticore ever could, so clearly the Nilfgaardians are actually the more fearsome beasts, and therefore, if you care about the Manticore, by extension, you should also care about the Nilfgaardians.
It changes. At a time when the horror broods, it may be as many as 20.
I see. As now you must. Nilfgaard in my capital could mean as many as 20,000 felled.
See? It's all about the numbers.
You live to fight evil, injustice, do you not? You can fight none greater than by doing so at my side.
Exactly. Come on, we have cookies. Maybe. Possibly. Raynard, you brought the cookies, right? How else are we supposed to bribe this guy?
The Manticore, Your Grace, must fall first. As to what happens later, I shall need to consult the good book and petition the gods.
Okay, so you're saying there's a chance of recruiting the crazy guy? Sure. Sounds good. I mean, where is this Manticore? We got him! This card has been added to our army and can be found in the command tent. Alright, let's take a look. I'm
Agreed,
curious.
so be it. This monster, where lies its lair? Where does it prowl?
That's my primary question as well.
To the north, my queen. A
North?
few leagues on.
We came from the north. Ish. Kinda, sorta. Okay. Yeah, let's take a peek here. Definitely excited to get a new card here, and one that could be quite good. Let's see. Did he automatically get added by any chance? Not that I can tell. Where is he hiding? There you are. Okay, let's see. Whenever an ally takes damage, strengthen self by 1. Wait, what? Hold on. He has all these different forms? If battling monsters, deploy... So, when is this one active, relative to all these other ones that have more specific use cases? If battling monsters, damage an enemy by this unit's power. Whenever an ally takes damage, strengthen self by 1. Or if we have Manticore Trophy on the battlefield, so that's presumably something we can get from defeating the Manticore. Whenever an ally takes damage, strengthen self by 2. So it sounds like that's sort of his base ability, if you will, is to strengthen himself by 1 when an ally takes damage. Then, he can add one more effect, or make that effect more powerful, depending on the type of opponent, or if he has this specific trophy. Let's see. Holy Warrior. So, this is basically a side quest of sorts. is to evolve Eyck from base version to Fury to Divine Inspiration to Holy Warrior to Prophet? No, I don't know. Let's see. So then battling monsters and you have Manticore Trophy on the battlefield. Damage enemy by this scene's power, and whenever an ally takes damage, strengthen itself by 2. So, yeah. It does seem like certainly an interesting, very interesting card, unlike anything that we've picked up thus far. Let's see, we technically cannot add him directly, because as you can see here, doing so would bring us over our 125 maximum for our provisions here, but could take someone out to make room for him, especially because, hold on, we do have one more card that's necessary at the moment, so we need to dump 4, which means, what? Getting rid of a field medic would suffice. An Arbalist would as well, though the Arbalists have been, I mean, sure, they may not be long-term one of the best cards, but at least, maybe I'm thinking mostly the challenges, but they've been a pretty crucial piece to helping us succeed thus far. So I feel like I'm leaning toward getting rid of the medic in that case. Let's go for that. I am certainly curious to test this out. And I think that definitely becomes something that we'd like to do very soon, is see if we can track down the Manticore, take it out, and then power up Eyck in that case. And Nest Tent also has an exclamation point on it, and I'm wondering if he might be there? He is. Okay. Let's chat in that case.
I see you found the mess tent. How's the ale? Not too warm, I hope.
'Tis not for me to say, Your Majesty. My tankard holds but milk of the goat.
Oh. Okay.
Milk? A witless prank. I shall tell the quartermaster at once what I think of such...
Meve, I don't think he's kidding.
Unnecessary, Your Grace. I called for the beverage.
Is that so?
I don't understand. What is this nonsense? What are you doing here? Get out. We don't want you anymore. No, I mean, he's a big dude. He's been bulking up. You know, he needs the extra calories, right? I suppose beer is pretty full of calories as well, but still, he needs the protein.
The good book states clearly, the shadow of spirits obscureth light most true, and leadeth thee from the path of virtue.
Okay.
Right. I suppose there's something to it.
Meve is not having it.
My soul sings to hear your affirmation, Your Grace. If ever you wish to discuss the good book and the wisdoms contained therein, hesitate not to find me.
Yeah, I don't think Meve is nearly as enthusiastic about this as you may think she is.
Certainly, I shall remember that.
Certainly, I shall remember to never ask you about that, is what she actually means. However, let's dig a little further. How long have you been hunting monsters?
Your crusade against monsters. Have you been at it long?
My guess would be no, because based on his descriptions before about the types of enemies he's been trying to take on, if he has been at it long, or well, I would think that this is the first big enemy that he's trying to take down because, well, I don't know. I feel like he's, the type to get himself in over his head very, very quickly, and that's generally, when you're dealing with monsters, the type of thing that gets you killed.
Come next Bellatane, it will be 20 years, Your Grace.
Whoa! Hold on!
There was one extended interruption.
Okay. My guess is it's not actually anywhere near 20 years.
For what reason? Had you grown weary of the knight-errant's life?
Not in the least. Never shall I cease in my quest to cleanse the world of filth and abominations. But at times evil puts up rather a good fight.
What?
I ventured forth to slay a dragon once, a gold one, as it were, calling itself Villa Tretomeft, or the like. Its very name, as is evident, a vile toil for the tongue and wafting wickedness.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to pronounce that name. But also, yeah, like I was saying earlier, I think I mentioned dragon specifically. That's the kind of thing that I think I vaguely remember in The Witcher, Geralt saying that even Witchers deliberately do not take on dragons because they are that powerful. It is a death wish if you try to fight one of those single-handedly. I mean, I don't even know if you could take one down with an army.
A great many mercenaries embarked on the hunt, lured by the promise of coin in heaps. The Crinford Reavers, Yarpen Zigrin, and a band of dwarves. Even
I recognize that name.
A witcher. One Yennefer, the most lecherous sorceress at his side.
Oh. Think we can have pretty good guess as to which Witcher that was then. Although, like I was just saying, I think Geralt explicitly said at one point in The Witcher 3 that he deliberately does not take contracts for dragons because he knows doing so would be the end of him. So that's a little surprising. And Yarpen is, of course, well, familiar name. Minor Witcher 2 spoilers. From The Witcher 2. I mean, I guess that's not really much of a spoiler, but anyway.
That name I've heard.
Which one? He mentioned, like, at least two, and alluded to at least one or two more.
But at the deciding moment, when the beast challenged all, I alone emerged to face it. Alas, shame burns me to admit it. I returned from the battle upon my shield. Figuratively. Literally. I returned in pieces.
Oh. Yeah, see, that's kind of what I mean.
For 2 years, I lay in the Temple of Melitele in Alanda. Mother Neneke, God's protector, nursing me back to full health. And only when I could once more grip my sword did I return to the path I'd chosen.
I mean, that is dedication. It's also probably approaching the definition of insanity.
And the dragon? What was its fate?
Something tells me it is very much still standing.
Some claim it flew off to Zerrikania, though it very well might yet lurk here, awaiting the opportune moment to terrorize the folk of the north again.
Well, let's hope not, in that case. Okay, and so that was us asking about how long he's been hunting monsters for, and that looks like all we can ask him about at this stage, so in that case, let's head out.
Farewell, Eyck.
But definitely good to hear more from him, because, very interesting character. Very high-risk profession he has taken up, of course. And, the fact that he's somehow found a way to carry it out for 20-ish years, that's impressive. That is impressive. You know, of course, Witchers, in some cases, can do it for hundreds of years, but then again, I imagine they have a little bit more training and, do have the superhuman abilities that I imagine Eyck does not have as presumably just a normal human. But okay, let's see what the deal is over here.
Not a scrap. Nothing to bury. Blood's all that's left behind.
That doesn't sound good. Alright. Over here, we can learn a little bit more about what is going on in the area. We have a couple of points of interest. One seemingly right after the other. So, I mean, they might even be in some way interrelated. And that could very well be the direction we head in next. In fact, tell you the truth. So Eyck was saying that, the Manticore was further north, and the reason why I was sort of taken aback by that was because, I mean, we came from this direction, which is due north from where we found him. But I imagine he's probably, he probably meant over here to more sort of the sort of northwest, where, we of course have not yet been and seen these question marks. I imagine one of these is probably the Manticore. So, okay. That is my guess as to where we will find it. Let's also chat with the civilians here.
A whole village. Just one big grave now.
Was it the Manticore?
Hallowed Mother, look upon these stricken souls what suffered evil. Protect, console.
Okay.
A whole village. Just one big grave now.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds nice and happy. We go back here around this at all. I'm trying to see if there's any loot there, or maybe even a hidden chest, but perhaps not. Oh, as soon as we step out of town, it starts to get much darker and gloomier. And as I was saying, I suspect we've got Ooh, Abbott's Ravine. Guessing this is not exactly a happy place over here. Seeing some rustling over there as well. So, I'm guessing some kind of encounter. My guess is that it's the second point of interest that is the actual Manticore, but the first one here...
'Tis in these ravines. The beast is near. I sense it.
Okay. We're getting close. That actually was the first point of interest. Okay. So it's basically just a warning. Go no further unless you are prepared to take on the Manticore. Alright, I mean, we can, like, see if there's any last-minute upgrades we can do here. But I imagine that for the most part, we've done everything that we can do at this stage. Of course, we did put Eyck into our deck, so we have made that change. But, other than that, I don't really think there's much in the short term for us to change here. It might improve our probability of success. Other than, I mean, crafting some other cards here and throwing them in our deck, but we don't have a lot of room to fit in new cards. Even now, as we were just saying, put it in Eyck did put us right at our maximum, and we were at that previously, back when we had Reynard plus our Defector. But, It would take some creative reworking to make room for other cards, and, you know, until we can actually increase this number, which I don't even know if we'll ever be able to, but that'd be certainly a nice benefit if we could make that happen. I don't know. At least for now, I think we do have probably our best possible setup, unless if maybe... That was a little alarming. Maybe if we changed our trinkets, that might be the one thing, but other than that, if we just give it a shot here. Now, is it going to be technically a battle or a puzzle? Not sure. That I'm not sure about. We do have high morale, so that could help us out. But, okay. Get the pre-boss loot, and then this has got to be the spot, right? Alright, don't know what exactly to expect, but I imagine it's going to be tough. Let's check it out.
At the furthest depth of the winding, gloomy canyon, scouts found the maw of a great cavern. Among the boulders outside it, whitening bones lay strewn. Eyck dismounted and drew his blade.
By the god's grace, we've found the beast's lair,
He said, lifting his gaze to the heavens.
We need them but to extend their favor as we battle the filth.
Alright. Whatever you say, Eyck. Order the men to begin the hunt for the Manticore, or say, you know what, on second thought, thanks but no thanks. Nah, we're here to take on the Manticore. Let's do it.
Meve cast a critical eye at her shield. Wood clad in leather and thin plate.
Something tells him that's
Enough
not going to be
stop a
sufficient.
Sword, certainly, but would it protect her from a beast's raging blow?
Doubt it.
Noticing her hesitation, Reynard approached the queen and said,
Your Grace, none will utter a disparaging word should you step back.
But they will think them,
replied Meve.
and that's bad enough.
Ooh.
The war has begun. I can't appear weak to my fighting men.
Without awaiting an answer, Meve strode into the cave. The rest of the company followed, equally full of fear and faith in their queen and commander.
Oh man, the music
Moments
picking
later,
up.
a great and powerful roar filled the cavern.
And the audio, both music and to sound effects, fantastic. Here we go. Let's do it. Let's see, we've got the Manticore. That is a freaky looking face there. Manticores are truly terrifying monsters, you got that right. One Oxford professor even argued that the bloodthirsty beast's very existence contradicts the widely held belief that the gods are merciful and benevolent. The publication of this thesis led to a heated theological debate, a debate which cooled, ironically enough, when the witch hunters had the scholar burned at the stake. Alright, it's simple. Eliminate the Manticore. That's the special rule. I think it is technically a battle, not a puzzle, which may mean that if we fail here, we don't get the chance to try again. I'm not entirely sure, but it's only one round. Let's get going. Music is popping. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's see. Battle will last only one round, we know. Let's see. Let's hide our card just for a second to see what the deal is with this Manticore. Oh, it's 6 different cards. It's 6 different cards. Hold on. What do we have here? Manticore left wing, immobile. Don't think we've seen that one before. Can't be moved. Okay, I mean, suppose could have guessed that much. Every turn on turn start, move a random enemy from the range row to the melee row. So although it's not going to move, it's going to move us a lot. Okay. Then we have the head. Damage self by 6 whenever another limb is destroyed. Deathwish, Meve wins the battle. Okay. So we need to specifically take out the head. However, if another limb gets destroyed, the head gets weakened. So that may mean that it's best to try to take out the limbs first, and in doing so, weaken the head. Especially if, let's see, how much life do the other body parts have? More than 6 power. So if we are going to damage those other body parts, then that is a less efficient way in terms of pure damage, but it could help us through other means, you know, slowing down whatever the other effects this guy has. Let's see, so that's the head. It has no cards, so it's not going to play anything. So it's whatever these passive abilities are that we need to keep in mind. Let's see, every turn on turn start, move a random enemy from the melee row to the range row. So between the 2 wings, we're going to be moving back and forth between the melee and ranged rows, which is important because we do have several cards that will deal more damage depending on how many cards we have in a given row. However, we also have the Wagenberg that gets more powerful if other units move into its row, and so that could potentially end up happening. And that's an interesting prospect. You know, if we can find a way to deliberately set ourselves up so that whenever we get one of our cards moved, it has a high chance of powering up the Wagenberg, that could be great. So, don't know how straightforward that's going to be to make that happen, but that might be a plan that we could try to see through. See, other than that, we have the left leg. Every 4 turns on turn start, damage all units in the melee row by 2. And then my guess is this other leg is going to be range row. Range row, yep, damage all of them by 2, okay. Then we have the tail. Every 3 turns on turn start, destroy the leftmost enemy unit. Whoa! Okay, hold on, this messes with a lot of those plans. Destroy the leftmost enemy unit on the melee row. That is, I mean, it may sound simple. Oh, Lids, well, just don't play any good units on the left side. Well, the thing is, I assume this is the case in Gwent multiplayer. I assume it's also the case in Thronebreaker. Whenever something moves from one row to the other, it always takes the rightmost spot. So that means that we are not going to be able to control what's on the right side. And the things going to be on the furthest on the left are either going to be the things that we play first or the things that do not get moved. So it's going to be really hard to organize that. And, okay. That makes this a very chaotic battle in that case. Take another look at Eyck here to see damage enemy unit by this unit's power whenever ally takes damage. Strengthen self by 1. So I think, yeah, but putting up points doesn't matter. But can strengthen happen when you're still in our hand? That's what I want to know. Because if you get strengthened every time an ally takes damage, but you need to be on the actual board, then that would suggest we need to play you early. So that way you get the benefit as early as possible. Then again, against this enemy, that doesn't actually matter because we don't care how many points we put up, we only care about how much damage we deal. However, if Strengthen works when you're in our hand, that means we deliberately play you last so that we have as many other units out there as possible, power you up while you're still in our hand, and that way when we play you, your deploy ability deals that much more damage. So I think we deliberately keep him in our hand just in case that's the case, because if so, then that would be a pretty big factor, and he could be our very strong finishing card. So I'd like to go that way with it if we can. let's see. Oh, so when it comes to our cards here, again, we care just about nothing about putting up points. We just want all-out damage. So that means Lyria and Scytheman, definitely not the cards we're looking for here. Still definitely not the cards we're looking for here. War Wagon, an interesting one. Of course, in the past, we've used it to set up our Wagenburg, generally. However, giving us some more units out there, even if they're weak units, gives us additional ones that can move around and get damaged, and in doing so, actually power up Eyck. And if they do get destroyed, those light infantry, then they deal 5 damage, which is not insignificant. So I think we definitely keep that. Then, okay, really don't want the Scytheman. Also not going to want the Pikeman. He says as he gets another Pikeman. Field Medic. I mean, we could end up having some units get destroyed, so that's not out of the question. So I think we definitely swap you out, and we get a Regiment Drummer. Okay.
Profane horns didst adorn his wicked brow.
All right.
God
So,
protect us.
gods protect us. Let's see. So what's our plan here? I think normally I would say our plan would be to play our Wagenburg as early as possible. That delayed, which we had to wait before it started up. That startled me as well, but let's see. The Wagenburg, normally we play this first. That way we have more time to play additional units in this row or move units into that row to give it more armor and therefore more damage. However, where are you? The tail, destroying the leftmost enemy unit in the melee row, does complicate matters considerably, because this could very well end up destroying the Wagenburg if we're not careful, and then all of our setup is for naught. So let's try to make it such that if we can, we have the Wagenburg either just in this range row when that triggers, or started in the range row so that when it gets moved to the rightmost spot, meaning that it will not be the unit that gets destroyed by this tail, because I think that Wagenburg is going to be pretty crucial. And again, if it gets destroyed, we can bring it back to Field Medic, but then we have to go through the process of building back up all the armor, and that's not going to be easy. So just get a sense as to the order of operations here in terms of which of these effects are going to hit us first. It's this happening every turn? No, every 4 turns. Now, this is what I care about. On every turn, yeah. Move units around. So the movement's happening every turn. The damage is happening only every 4 turns. So that's not that frequent. But, okay. So, I think what we want, in this case, is we want to play... I think we can still play the Wagenburg first. But we're going to need to be really mindful of when it gets moved to a different row, then let's make sure that we play another card to the left of it, so that that other card is going to be the thing that gets destroyed rather than the Wagenburg. So, suppose we still start in the melee row, because as the only unit out there, it's going to get moved.
The hardest plate they shred like fine vellum.
Okay. So it's going to get moved. Oh, and it's going to get damaged when it gets moved as well. Don't forget about that. Oh, and that's going to make building up the armor very, very difficult on the Wagenburg, come to think of it. So, I don't know about that. Let's see. Eyck was 7 power previously, right? Pretty sure he was. So I think we just confirmed that when this Wagenburg took damage and you were in our hand, you did still get that strength into trigger. So that is great. But I don't exactly think that we are going to get 45 damage out of you alone. So we are definitely still going to need to find other ways to damage this head. And do we go for the other limbs? Did we go straight for the head? This is going to be tough. And I mean, I'd love to get some time to do some trial and error here. But then again, I'm not entirely sure if we're going to be able to try this again if we fail. So, I don't know. Let's go next with the War Wagon, because this will, of course, give us a bunch of additional units. Put it to the left of the Wagenburg.
Hungry like a wolf, I am.
That gives it armor. However, we'd rather not use this ability right now, because it does mean that, well, we won't have quite as much damage, right? So, we try to get a little bit greedy with it. Okay, and we're fine with, yes, that getting destroyed. So we'll damage them a bit. Okay, so yeah, on the next turn, the tail will do its thing. So for that reason, I think what we want to do here is we at least take a turn to play something in the melee row, and I know that may sound silly because it's going to get destroyed if we do that, yes. However, in doing so, that means that if the Wagenberg happens to get moved into that melee row, it's not going to get destroyed. However, hold on. Let's take a look here. Move random enemy from the range row to the melee row. So something's going to get moved. Then it's going to get moved back into the range row, I think. It's going to go... Usually, again, using multiplayer Gwent as sort of our baseline here. Usually the way that the game determines the order in which abilities are resolved, it goes left to right, starting in the melee row, and then working into the range row. If that is still the case in Thronebreaker, that would mean this effect triggers first, or assuming that everything is triggering in the same turn, which obviously some of it is not in this case, but it would mean this goes first, then this, then this, then this, then this, then this. That's important, because that would mean if we don't have anything in the melee row at the start of our turn, this would be the first thing that it would trigger. There'd be nothing in the melee row, so the tail wouldn't destroy anything. Then the left wing would move something from range into melee, but at that point, this would already trigger, so it wouldn't kill anything. Then something would get moved back in with the right wing. But, again, to what extent do we feel confident relying on that? I don't know. It's certainly a risk. So, alright, let's take a chance on it. Let's go with the Regiment Drummer. Let's get greedy. We'll play the Regiment Drummer in the range row.
Left,
which will, of course, give us some additional armor on the Wagenberg. And, I mean, we couldn't even move the light infantry there deliberately, so that it is our sacrificial lamb if needed, but let's try it. Let's see what happens. Of course, we're hoping that just in case the order of operations is movement, destroy, that it is not the Wagenberg that moves there, but I've now probably proceeded to jinx it, so we shall see. It is light infantry, and the order was what I anticipated, so that is good. So if we can actually just keep everyone in this range row the entire time, that means the tail is not doing us any trouble, not causing any problems. So, I mean, then again, we loaded up enough units here, we could actually just take out the tail altogether, but I think we're trying to focus on just the Wagenberg for now, and then may start to get enough units out there that the Lyria and Rivia becomes a viable option. Also, we've now destroyed a couple of light infantry, which means we do have potential targets for the field medic, and these are not bad. Usually they're not very good when it comes to putting up points, true, but they're easy targets to get destroyed, which is actually kind of helpful, because then they'll trigger the 5 damage, and we can't control which enemy it's going to hit, but, I mean, damage is damage, so it's a good starting place at the very least. So let's see. Then, I think we go for another Regiment Drummer here, and put it in this same row, especially because we've now confirmed that if anything does get moved into this melee row, it doesn't appear as though it will get killed, assuming that it's, you know, we don't have it in there at the beginning of the Manticore's turn. Let's activate this ability as well. And let's see, we get, ooh, a War Wagon. Okay, I love that. That's a lot more units, giving us a lot more armor on the Wagenberg, and gives us another set of cards that we are fine sacrificing if they do get destroyed. Oh, and I totally forgot about our leader ability as well. Okay, okay, so we obviously missed some turns with this, so that is unfortunate. I mean, obviously, you can target the head with it, but it's the only one that has 45 power at the moment. But, otherwise, we're talking, I mean, initially, we could have gone both left and right wing and damaged them both simultaneously. We do have all these guys at 12 power. That's also an option, but I think we may just be going for the head here. I think, for the most part, if we play smart, we may be able to deal with the inconvenience of these other cards and still just focus all of our damage on that head. So let's go for it. Okay, you know, 4 damage in the grand scheme of things on a card that has 45 total HP might not be a huge deal, but we're going to see what we can do. And Again, that is absolutely the card that we want them to hit. Oh, and that was them hitting us with a bunch of damage as well, which got rid of the other light infantry. And so it is dealing a fair bit of damage, so much so that now that right wing is theoretically within destruction range. Did get a little bit of damage on the Wiggenberg as well, which means a little bit less damage capability for us. But, let's see. I think, well, and of course we're getting Eyck more powerful here, so, I mean, I was saying I didn't think it was going to be enough to take out the Manticore head single-handedly with Eyck, but, you know, he's not that far away. I mean, he's still got 21 more to go, but, still have time for that to potentially be a factor, so let's see. Let's use the Red Drummer here, and the Arbalest is not bad. Definitely going to play... Oh, I would definitely play you here, except by playing you there, that would mean your range can only hit this row here. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You would be the 7th unit, so that would drop the Manticore tail down to a 5, which is somewhat helpful. But, of course, we would love to get the damage to the Manticore head instead. I mean, we can play you here and just get 1 damage to the head. I'm not sure that's going to be a big factor, especially considering how if we play you in this range row, we also get 1 armor on the Wiggenberg, which is functionally another damage point on the Manticore head. So, I think we do hit the tail. Definitely not perfect, but I think we settle for that. And, oh, right, that was just the Regiment Drummer's ability. Okay, oh, but that does mean that these subsequent Lyria and Arbalists are not going to be doing great either. Even with our leader ability, it's going to damage the nearest enemy, so that's going to hit the melee row here. And so, again, might mean we could take out the tail. In fact, we could take out the tail if we were to play another Arbalest right here. Maybe that's worth doing. Just remove what would have otherwise been a pretty large threat, unless we want to take this opportunity to start deliberately playing cards in this melee row so that we are actually in striking range for these Arbalists to start hitting the Manticore head. I don't know. I think we just get rid of the tail, at least now.
Keep that vile poison to yourself.
That way we can remove that factor. Oh, we did move the Wiggenberg. Okay, I'm not a huge fan of that because not only did that mean we lost armor in the I think we lost armor in the process. Or was it the tail that was dealing the damage when stuff moves? Hold on, we still got the movement. No, I think it was the tail that had the damage. Yeah, whenever an enemy... Ooh, hold on. Hold on, though. That means now it's going to be significantly harder for Eyck to get stronger. I mean, we'll still have these guys damage an entire row, which will boost Eyck or make him stronger. Yes, but that consistent source of damage was actually useful. So, we did, in some ways, have a good thing going, and we might have messed with it a little bit too much by taking out that tail. So, in hindsight, might not have been the right move, and in truth, might mean that that's also reason to avoid taking out either of the legs as well. Interesting. Oh, and force to use the duel, but it has restraints, so we can't target bosses, and there are, of course, only bosses in this encounter, meaning that this card is completely useless, so we definitely should have swapped that out. Okay, obviously didn't know exactly what we were going to get in advance of this fight, but that's definitely something we would have liked to have swapped out before we got things started here. Let's see. We have just a ton of light infantry, and we do, of course, now know that we're not going to have anything directly destroyed, or not going to have the consistent source of damaging ourselves anymore, so that means light infantry are a little bit harder to make that work. In which case, is it even worth trying with them right now? I mean, you could make the case it may not be. I think what we do here is instead, we just start loading up on as many units as we can in this row here, and then we try to basically turn this into a setup for the Arbalists to start hurting the Manticore head. Because otherwise, I mean, Eyck... I'm not sure if we can rely on him to be the amazing finisher we might have otherwise had. Oh, what if we... Hold on. Hold on, though. Can we already do this? If we were to play Eyck, decoy Eyck, and then replay him, could we target the Manticore head twice and just immediately destroy it? We may be able to do that. that's our backup plan, at the very least. 'Cause that could be simple enough of a solution. But either way, let's start loading up in the melee row,
Tell me you jest.
so that we do have a way
Got any victuals?
to start hitting this Manticore head. And, so now we know that we aren't going to be getting any additional damage done to us, except for from these legs. So you could make the case that using the Wagenberg now is not out of the question. But, well, actually, they're going to continue to move things in and out, so, that will help us. It will still get armor that way. And we can move light infantry into this row as well, so, that's not bad either. I mean, again, that means fewer units over here, so a little bit less damage for the Arbalest, true. But, I mean, what happens if we play this? Does anything happen at all when we can't target any of their units? Not entirely sure. I think if not, then of course that means it's not going to do anything at all. But we have Eyck, we can play in this melee row. We have Decoy that we would like to use to replay Eyck, but we don't have too many other ways to get more units over here in this melee row to make this deployability on the Arbalest more powerful, other than moving this banner. I suppose we can do now. But why don't we try Fake Floor and see what happens? I think it's either just not going to let us play it at all, or we're going to need to discard it, or it's just not going to let us play it at all. In that case, it does look like it is Lyria and Arbalest time.
Arbalest to your command.
And so, you know, it's 4 damage. Could have been worse. Now I think that we've played this Arbalest. We are safe to move this light infantry back into that row. Give ourselves more armor on the Wagenberg. Okay. So, now I think we do this damage here. And in fact, that is already enough, especially considering... Oh, I forgot. We deal damage to this head when we take out the other body parts, and that was another reason why that was somewhat beneficial. And I was going to say, even without that, the Wagenberg alone would have been enough for Eyck to finish the job. Never mind the fact we had Decoy to play him again.
A knight should help. Our codex
That
commanded.
should do the trick.
We must thank the gods for this victory, both great and just.
So it looked really difficult initially, and it was complex, but at the end of the day, we had certainly far more than enough damage to get the job done.
With Eyck at their side, the Lyrians fell to Manticore. Later, it was said the beast's dying wail, multiplied and strengthened as it passed through the caverns, could be heard as far as Spala.
I don't know how far Spala is, but I'll assume that's fairly far, so, yeah, intense.
Now pray reveal, have you made your decision? Will you swear to serve me? Are you prepared to take an oath?
Surely you must be, right? I mean, we just helped you out to slay the Manticore, right?
I am not, your grace.
What?
I can serve only the gods.
How dare you? The nerve!
Yet you seem to hold them in low regard. I noted monastic silver in your wagons.
You trying to say, oh. See, the thing is, we may have stolen from a church once. We may have stolen from a church once. Not bad.
A war is on. I must have the means to pay all new recruits.
Yeah, I don't think he likes that.
My lady, my pockets needn't concern you. I do not fight beside blasphemers.
Okay. That does hurt a bit. Because, I mean, certainly in that encounter, I was a pretty big fan of that card. I mean, we just saw how big of a deal it was. And no way of knowing for certain just how effective it might have been in future situations, but it looked like that had a lot of potential to be a big bonus, a big add to our deck, so that does hurt. That does hurt a bit, and I certainly did wonder at the time when we made the church unhappy with us previously, if there would be any long-term consequences to that decision. And, well, there you have it. It sounds like if you had not done that, then he might have been willing to join you, and if you did, do the thing that we did and make the church mad, then he chooses not to. So I think that's the reason why we missed out on it.
Eyck spurred his mount and disappeared in haste. I know not what Meve thought. Perhaps she felt some pangs of conscience, though she might also have merely shrugged.
We'll deal with it either way. Would have been nice, of course. Would have been good, but, you know, that's what happens when we're going in blind like this and we don't know what happens when we do what. Sometimes we're gonna make mistakes like that, and we're just gonna have to deal with the consequences. That's also just the nature of the Witcher games, and by extension, Thronebreaker. So, you know, that is what we signed up for, so it's gonna happen every now and again, and we'll just have to find a way to carry on. That being said, we did get a different card, Manticore Trophy. This card has been added to our army and can be found in the command tent. This was, of course, a card that would have otherwise powered up our Eyck had we kept him. But we can still take a look at this. Let's see what it's all about, and maybe this can still be a consolation prize for us. Let's see. So here it is. Permanent Resilience. Whenever your enemy appears on the battlefield, damage it at a random by 1 or 2. Oh! Order moves to the other row. Okay, so it's a very consistent source of little damage here and there. Interesting. Do we have any other cards at the moment that directly synergize with this? Not necessarily sure that we do. It's almost like the opposite of Eyck, right? Eyck gets boosted whenever your units take damage, and that happens almost every turn. And then this card deals damage in little bits and pieces to our opponents whenever they play a unit. So, I mean, it looks good. It's not big, bursty type of damage, but over the course of a long match, that could certainly become a pretty big factor. And given how we saw Fake Florin, at least in boss encounters, can be completely useless, might make sense to dump that in order to bring in the Manticore Trophy instead, because, oh, the trophies are full. Oh, it's instead of the Lyrian banner. Is that it? It is. So this would allow us to... I honestly didn't even think about this. All I thought about in the past was just moving it from one row to the other, which didn't exactly feel like the biggest factor. But this was actually reducing our cooldown on Meve's leader ability. That is something, but I feel like that's more impactful for abilities that have a cooldown of, say, 2 turns, 3 turns. Ones that are fairly quick, because that means the number of additional times you can use Meve's ability is significantly more. Whereas when we're using our existing leader ability, where it takes a really long time for it to come back, using the banner means maybe we get one more use out of it. I'm not even sure if we would. I'd have to double check exactly what the cooldown for it is. So it may be worth going with the Manticore Trophy instead. And that also means that this is down on the playing field immediately. Don't even need to play it. So that is consistent source of damage in that case. I'd say in that case, let's try it. Let's put, where were you? We were going with the Fake Florin. Might want to put the Lyrian Horn back in. Do we have any other viable alternatives? Restore all enemy units to their base power. That feels a little bit too inconsistent. Sometimes it's going to do absolutely nothing, like the previous encounter. I think it would have done absolutely nothing. Transform a damaged unit into a bear. Also, this one has restraint. That one doesn't, but still. I do like how the Lyrian Horn, I feel like, sure, sometimes it's better than other times, but at the very least, almost always it's going to do at least something for you. Whereas as we saw, Fake Florin, Marjoram Bear, or anything that has specifically restraint always has that chance of being completely useless. So, and it's also a combination of both damage and boosting, which in some situations, the damage is going to be more important. In some situations, the boosting might be more important. But doing a little bit of both gives it that versatility. So I think that is worth including for that reason. Hold on. What have we done? We need an additional card. We took one out, apparently. Oh, because we had Eyck, and we lost him. That's why. Ooh, that hurts. That does rub it in a little bit more. In that case, what adjustment did we make to make room for him? I think we had a field medic, which meant we were just below our maximum provisions there. And, I mean, you could make a case that means it is worth picking up another card here, crafting another card here. But, not sure if there's anything that is really standing out to me other than War Wagon might be a perfect fit. Let's see, if we take you out, we have 10. So we could add, yeah. War Wagon be the highest provision cost card we could add. Obviously, we can't create another Reynard, but yeah, it would have been great. Definitely would have been great to have kept Eyck, but that's sometimes just the cost of doing business, so we'll go back to putting in the field medic, and we will carry on. But with that, I think that is certainly a good place for us to wrap up here, and, well, we certainly did manage to take out the Manticore, but as it turns out, it was, I imagine, just based on what Eyck was saying, that that deal we did not strike with the church a ways back that caused him to run off and abandon us. But we have more to do in this area, of course, so we'll be checking that out soon. But thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.